All right, we're going to log in and we're going to check in to see how we're doing. This project allowed you to kind of get a sense of all of the customization before we move on to the next phase of the trailhead, which starts talking about automation and how do you automate things in Salesforce and what does all that mean. So this is my Uber list of things we want to go through. That should be all the way up top. So what I'd like to do is, so let's talk about, so open up the project. If you have the project in front of you. Phase 4, so I'm going to put this in the chat real quick. So this was where we're at. So we're in phase 4 of this trail, and the goal was, let's see who we lost by having an assignment, right? What did we lose by having an assignment? We lost Julia and we lost Brian, and nobody came back. That's okay. We will.
Excuse me, don't say nobody. You're looking at me and Gil.
Oh, no, nobody else. Sorry, nobody else came back.
Thank you.
Keep your mic open. There's no reason to mute unless you're doing something else. So this is the discussion. So let's take a look at customizing a Salesforce object and see what happened. So work with standard and custom fields. I'm doing a quick review because this is still your project and the challenge itself. So so the first thing looks like that we create profiles for members of the support team. So we went to the setup cog, looked at profiles, cloned a SOAP profile, and created another profile. Then, which is a great way to create profiles from an existing profile, right? Profiles are that group of permissions that allow a user to see and do certain functionality. And let me see if that helps my white balance a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. Let me see if this helps. All right. So, and then we changed the label of a rating field to prospect rating. So that's saying what that covered was there's only so much you can do to standard fields. You can either use them or hide them, right? That's one aspect of a standard field. And then you can also, and if you're gonna use them, you can customize them a little. You can change the label, but the field name will remain the same. As far as the computer-to-computer technology, that's the API name. That's what that means. So the API name stays the same, but you're changing the label that the user interacts with. That's another way to customize your objects. And then, if you went to the account, you could also update the help text. Now that you've changed what the user can see, you have to update what it means so that the help text is there. So that's another indication of what you can do on a standard field. You can change the label, you can change the help text, you can change where it lives on the page layouts, all of that kind of stuff. You can add values to pick list values, but there's not much else you can do. You can't delete them because they're standard. You can't change the type of field that it is, the type of data it collects, because again, it's hardwired. You can do that with custom fields, but not with standard. And then you did that by, then you created some custom fields. So the custom field was, does this account have a support plan? Checkbox, yes or no. And that's good information, right? When I'm looking at account, do they have a support plan or not? And the answer is, I don't know. Let me call somebody. Let me text somebody. Let me email. Let me ask some tribal knowledge instead of CRM data. So we're adding that field. Then the next field, we said, well, okay, if they have one, when does it expire? Now these aren't suggestions on how to track your support plan. These are just exercises on how to create different kinds of fields for the kinds of purposes that it is. I've been spending time teaching people in class all week about different kinds of data are used differently, interpreted differently, and managed differently because it represents different kinds of behavior. the kinds of behavior that, welcome to the call, the kinds of behavior that you're gonna, that demonstrate that data, right? You know, you wouldn't take your list, your grocery list into Home Depot because all they're gonna have is water and candy. And maybe some Gatorade or Powerade, right? They're not gonna have your whole grocery list. They're not a grocery store. So that data is not really usable in that context. So where the data is useful is depending on the kind of job you do, where you do it, why you do it, and how you do it. So then the last thing you want to do is verify that you did that. And so if you did that, good to go. You completed the challenge. If you didn't, then you get 2. Does anybody have any questions about what you can do with a standard versus a custom field? Who just joined? Let's see who joined the call. Brian joined the call. Thanks, Brian. All right. So we're going to go to the next module that you should have done as a part of your review. Create pick lists and field dependencies. So this is how pick lists are a great tool to add specific information without the user typing it in incorrectly. However, if you collect a lot of specific information, it's never a good idea to, let's say, for example, I worked in 10 different countries. And all of those countries have states and provinces, right? Inside their country, they got little sub-countries. And, you know, if I had a field called state, I could just type in the value, but then you know how people type it in. Georgia, both caps, G, capital A, lowercase, GEOR, GEA, whatever, you know, people mistype things. So you control the data that's entered by a pick list. But if I don't choose the country first, then I got to scroll through a whole list of states because I'm really only capturing one state in one field. I don't want to capture United States states, Canadian states, Mexican states, European states, all that stuff, right? So it's the idea behind pick list values having dependencies so that one choice limits your next choice or your other choices, or one piece of data controls how you can choose other data. So you should have created a field, right? So the one thing you can do is if you're going to reuse a pick list value from one field to another, that set of values can be managed at the global level and reused in other places. And I think I gave the example of 1 to 5 as your Likert scale on rating fields, and then all of a sudden you sit through a class with me and I talk to you about how horrible a 1 through 5 is because of confirmation bias, and you say, all right, I'll make it 1 through 10. Do I want to manage that with 10 different fields or just one list of values that translates to all the other fields that use it? So if you do manage pick list values, if they're the same list of values in more than one place, then you could create a pick list value set at the global level. And you did that in the exercise, the pick list value sets. You created the region field with 5 choices, and then you created the the help text and all that kind of stuff. Then you created the field and just used the global pick list value set. That's what it is. It's global because you can use it from anywhere in the system, and it's a value set. It's a pick list value set because that's what it's called in the setup menu. Then you can use that region to define the zone, right? So the zone for APAC is East Asia, Oceania, Southeast Asia. Europe, MEA, what is the one you used? Yeah, EMEA, Europe, Middle East, Africa, EMEA. So anything that includes those countries, right? So as you're narrowing down your countries, you're starting in big chunks and giving smaller choices. And if you created that, life was good. And then as you scroll down, it said, okay, well, how do you make it so if I pick APAC, I limit my choices? So here's that. Let's see if I can make this graphic bigger. Probably not. Right? And what you learned was in field dependencies on every objects, you could control your pick list choices based on dependencies of other fields. Those fields have to be either a pick list, a checkbox, or what else can it be about? I think that's it, a pick list or a checkbox. And it could be either the controlling field can be either a standard or a custom pick list, but the dependent field can only be a custom pick list value set. Can't be a checkbox, can't be the, right? And then you can use, so you got to use standard data, right? You can't use a field that somebody manually puts in, because if they don't put in APAC exactly, it's not going to communicate to the computer, because computers are dumb. They only do exactly what they're told. So again, if you set that up, you're pretty good. And then on the opportunity, if you set up a closed reason and you have two sets of reasons, lost reasons and won reasons, there's no reason to have a user scroll through all the lost reasons if you won, and vice versa, all the won reasons if you lost. So you filter out the results based on the data. So it's also dependent upon other fields that exist, like the status of stage of an opportunity. And if you did that and verify the step, you were good to go. Any questions on creating pick lists and field dependencies? Any comments? What was it like? Let's do a little check-in. So let me ask you this. Did you check in? Amy, did you check in with Brian during the week? Brian, check in with Amy. Gil, you could put it in the chat if you wanted to.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, did not. And today's been a bit rough. So, and I mean rough in a lot of ways. So,
I hear you.
Yeah, let's just say that today's been.
All right. Well, look, you still have time to complete this project. And if you run into any troubles, I want to make sure we kind of go through this together. So I'm just doing a quick review of the whole project, and then we'll go back and see if there's any sticking points. If anybody does, we've kind of covered some of this stuff before. This project kind of pulls it all together. I think Julia, yep, welcome, you joined too. So Julia and Gil, did y'all get a chance to connect and work on this project?
Yep.
Yes,
Got it yesterday.
You did, awesome. You did your homework. Okay, great. And how did it go? Did you get stuck anywhere in particular?
About 3/4 through, there's actually like 1 or 2 steps missing. I don't remember where. I didn't make a note, but I just figured it out and got through.
Okay. That, by the way, welcome to Trailhead. That's how that works. All right, so now lookup filters. I don't know if we did these or not, but this is a great little exercise. And the great thing about lookup filters is that they do just that. So I was actually training for Johnson Controls today, and there's some fields that don't have lookup filters, and it's so annoying. I'm like, why don't you add a lookup filter? So I'm not choosing the goal from some other company on this other record that relies on this company's goal alone. I don't need it to be confused with something else. So there's a lot of those places and parts for stuff to get caught up. So lookup filters are great, right? So again, you think about what you're trying to do. I want to keep my user from making a mistake. Why? Well, it destroys the data and it destroys their trust in the data. If they can't choose something with certainty that I've given them as a choice, then they'll feel like, well, I don't know what to do, so I won't do it. In marketing, we say the confused mind never buys, or the confused mind never decides. So if you're confused, it might be that the data wasn't presented to you in a way that was easy for you to choose. So don't blame necessarily yourself. It's just an opportunity to talk to your admin, you be the admin, and now that you got this training, to see how do I make this work better, more effectively. And really, where a lot of this comes from is, feedback. You got to create a constant, ongoing feedback loop with your users. So if you guys didn't have any trouble with this, we'll just move on with it. But it's a lookup filter, and some of these are pretty standard lookup filters. Like this one, I want to make sure that the contact names, the contact on a case is from the same account as the case as created. Now, what's funny about this exercise, and I comment on this on my 5-day class, it's the same exercise in the 5-day class, is that this is the dumbest thing ever. This is exactly not how I create a case. Like if I create a case, I create it from the contact record and I get the right account information all the time. So while the example is true, it's stupid. It's stupid because it's not a real life process that someone would go through that you need to correct it for this. But it's great in that as long as you see the application of this tool when you're building lookup fields, like the data I want in this field lives in another object. So I want to look up to that other object, grab that data. So if it changes, it automatically updates, but I don't need to enter it manually. I can just select it from a group of right records. You can see how this works. Anybody have any questions about that in this field? Okay. Now, formula fields, we did a lot of those as well. So this, by the way, this is also another one of those dumb examples given by people who write training and not manage sales. The commission field is never a straight line commission. There's always a reason why the commission is different. And it takes a much more complex. But what this showed you was, hey, I can create some formulas, right? If I want to see what 10% of the amount is, and I want to see what 10% of the amount is as a commission, by the way, it's just dumb anyway, because the next formula calculates discounts. I'm not going to give a 10% commission on a discounted opportunity, right? I'll give you 10% on full rate, but I'm not giving you 10% on discounted rates. So you got to eat some of that. If I got to eat it, you got to eat it, right? So it's not a real world sales ops example, but it is a real example of calculating a number, which should have been familiar to you because we did all the calculations. Now, this one was the additional field formula information was, hey, don't even bother calculating commission unless the stage is closed won. Like it's not even relevant until the stage is closed won. So I'm going to do an if then statement. If this, then that, otherwise the last thing. So the if statement works this. So I have an if statement, and I know if statements because I train it, but other formulas I'm horrible at because I'm not a formula guy. I got handy. If the pick list value of the field stage name equals closed won, then I'll multiply the amount times 0.1. Otherwise, give me a 0, right? So, because it's a number currency field, I'm really limited to numbers on the results. You could create more complex formulas as that. Now this is the word, and Amy said it best, if they call it on the test a cross object formula field, it ought to be called that somewhere else, but that's not the way it works. What they're going to key in on the test is, I want to display, not look up and add to the database. I want to display, not create a relationship. I want to create a display of data from somewhere else. That's a cross object formula field because you're displaying from one object to another, but it's just a display. And so you're displaying the region and zone from the account, but displaying it on the opportunity so that it keeps that information present while you're in that sales conversation. Okay? So that's what it's saying. So whenever you see the word display, something from somewhere else, then it's going to display whatever's real there. And even if it makes a reference to, I want to make sure that it's always up to date. It's only going to display the current data. It doesn't store the data. It's always returning the value of the data that's in there. So it's always going to be current. Now, correct is a different thing. So you displayed region and zone. And then you also, on your opportunity, you've got discount percentages. You got amount after discount. You're just calculating. You're just doing the math so that somebody puts in a 3.2% discount because they're trying to get to that number. Great. Or if they put in the 10% number, you get the number, and you can see all the calculations so that somebody understands why their commission is less, right? Any questions or comments about that one if you guys created it? Now, record types, help me remind myself if we done a lot or a little with record types. I know we've touched on it a little bit, but do you understand? Tell me what you know about record types. This is the interactive part, so you got to unmute yourself. Tell me what you know about record types.
That they're related to the roles.
No. What do you mean by roles? You mean profiles or roles?
Well, roles. I just always remember like permissions profiles, like records roles.
Yeah. All right, good. So it's good. It's, by the way, great memory. Be careful because not with record types. So record types is a type of record within an account, or within an object. So for example, in the accounts, I've got customer accounts, but what about my partner accounts? What about my vendor accounts? What about my competitor accounts? So I'm tracking company information. I don't want to lose the functionality of the standard account object that's built into Salesforce and all the cool things that are there. But I want to separate the data by the type that it is. Think of it this way. You got yellow M&Ms, you got red M&Ms, you got blue M&Ms, and you got your green M&Ms. They're all M&Ms. They all come from the same M&M bag. But if you're feeling a little frisky, you might want to separate all your green M&Ms and say, I'm going to eat all those at once. You know, that's what they always told us. So it's the same thing, but you use them differently. They have a different purpose. They have a different way. So maybe you have a different page layout for a different record type. The benefit of a record type is that it extends the, the ability to assign a page layout to one profile per record type from just one profile per page layout. So it's an extension of the functionality. You also can change the pick list values of the fields that you have so that more appropriate data is stored in the field without having to add another field. So if you have the Essentials edition, you have to add another field because you don't have the ability to use partial pick list values on one record type and the other part on another record type. Does that make sense? And again, you got to do it a couple times to get it. The existing record type is called the master. So if you have any records in your object, when you create record types, then all existing records are going to be the master. Every new record you create from that point forward will be of a record type as specified. So if my profile only allows me to create customer accounts, then I'm just going to create an account, create an account, create an account. It's all going to be the same. But if my profile allows me to create customer and partner record accounts, then it's going to give me a choice of which kind I'm creating when I'm creating it. So for record types, it's on creation. Once you create record types, it's on creation, and whatever profiles you've assigned have access to that record type, those are the profiles that can, when they create a new record, they'll have that choice if they have more than one. Now that brings up an interesting dilemma. The user might not like choosing because they feel like I always do customer, and they go to their personal settings. They can choose the default so that they don't have to choose every time. And then here's what's, as an admin, here's why this is on the test. Because as an admin, you have to be acutely aware that they're going to forget that they made that choice. And then one day when they got to create a partner account, they're going to say, Salesforce is broken. It won't let me create a partner account. I can only create customer accounts. And then when you go investigate, you discover it's because they forgot they chose that as a default. So you kindly and lovingly remind them that they're the it that's causing the problem. Okay, so again, when you work with pick list values, you have your master list of values and you can adjust the list. It's sort of like controlling independent, right? If I choose North America as my region, then all my zones, right? My US is my region, or North America is my region, all my zones are limited to those choices. It's sort of like the same thing. My record type becomes the controlling value, and my pick list values are limited by what I've assigned. And as you create record types, the pick list values, the pick list fields on that object will be available for you to edit for that record type. So think of it like a bucket of M&Ms, and this one's only got, you know, Christmas M&Ms are red and green. So when they're making Christmas M&Ms, they're making that candy type, which is the same set of candies, just the red ones and the green ones in the bag, versus Halloween, which I think are black and orange, and Valentine's, which are pink and red, and coronavirus time, which are yellow and green, off color, gross. Anyway, is everybody doing okay with the coronavirus? All you guys working at home? You feel pretty lucky now, don't you? Okay. So, again, you adjust for record types. You control the page layouts and the pick list values for each profile. So that's the 3 P's of record types. So that's where the R's and the P's meld together, Julia. So it's not, I get, but this is the one exception. So record type controls your P's. All right, so now account page layouts. In your page layouts, remember every object, you can create multiple page layouts. And every page layout is assigned to a specific profile. But you're limited to 1 page layout per object per profile. You create as many as you want, you just got to manage them all. Why? Because different types of users may need to see data differently. So the record type extends that functionality for page layouts too. So if you have access to more than 1 record type, you can see those records differently based on the page layout that you were assigned for that record type. So as you change record types, you get the page layout and the pick list values assigned to your profile. Now I think this one, yeah, this is fine. So this, you just create a different page layout and move some stuff around on the page, which in Lightning represents the details tab of the page. In Classic, there's only 1 page. Lightning, you've got different components. The details tab is where you do it, is where you lay it. Did you guys have any trouble with this one? Is this the one you had trouble with, Gil and Julia?
No, it was farther down. I forget exactly where.
Well, it's either enable. So here's the next one. Now, enabling field history tracking is just that. So as fields change value from one value to another, you can record the changes for up to 20 fields. Doesn't matter if they're standard or 20 total fields that you can manage the history tracking on. Now, if it's a big text field, it's only going to record that it got changed, not what the change was. But it'll always report who did it, when they did it, what it was, and what they changed it to. So if somebody's buggering up the system or doing something, you could track those fields and see who did what. And that's different than feed tracking. How do I know? Well, first, they're spelled different. Whenever you see feed, think chatter. Chatter feeds productivity. History tracking is on fields, and it's at the object level, and it is reportable. So you can run reports on what fields, what users changed, from what, to what, when, and all that good stuff. So it's a difference between the history of that record. So if records go through a lot of changes and those changes matter, put those fields on a related list so your users can see what they were, when they changed, and all that kind of good stuff. So for like has support plan or the date, I think those are examples because that's an example in the training class. And then the last thing we covered was creating validation rules, which should have kind of wrapped a bow on it for all the things we've covered too. Now, validation rules happen after what? These are called custom validation rules. Oh, moth. These are called custom validation rules. The other kind of validation rule is a system validation rule. And what that means is the field's got to, if it's required, it's got data. If it's a certain type of data, it's correct. And if it's unique, it's unique, right? So if it's that kind of field, that's system. Then in the order of saving records, it'll give you those error messages before it gives you any custom validation rule messages. It wants to make all the sure, the system make sure that all the data entered will be acceptable. Then it validates your business rules for that for saving records in that object. Now, this is a very simple validation rule. They can get very complex. You are not expected to understand that. You just need to know that it's available and how it kind of works. And you can verify that step. So with that in mind, let's go back and let's see where you got challenged, and let's start with standard and custom fields. So what I'm going to ask you to do is on the challenge, I'm going to launch your playground. So now that you got an overview of it, let's look and see. Now remember, all right there, booger. I'm going to get I think what this wanted was, I gotta move I'm working off one screen too. I'm trying to be empathetic. Since it comes naturally to me, this is really easy. Why is Amy laughing, Brian?
Sorry.
So what I want to do is, let's do a couple of these, right? So first place we go is setup. And I'm just going to show you where all this stuff lives. I'm not going to go through all the exercises, right? So under rename, tabs and labels, this is where you can change the name of your tabs, right? To something that matches your business. Now, a lot of times, this is one of the first places I look when I look at someone else's. I look at what the custom tabs are, if they've customized any of these other ones, and then I'll go into the accounts to see. Step one is the label, and then any standard fields. So these are all the standard fields. The one they were talking about was rating, and they wanted to make it prospect rating. And that does not start with a vowel, so I'll just change it. And then when I go to that account record, and look at one of those account records, I'll see that the rating field is now, did I eliminate that field? Hang on a second. Oh, there it is. It's now prospect rating. Same field, different label. All right. Let's see what else they talked about doing. They added help text. You could do that on your own. All right. What do they want you to do? Oh, yeah. The has support plan and support plan expiration date. Those are really easy. That's just creating more fields on the object itself. So I got to go to one place. So if you try to go where you think you go like, oh, account, I want to change something in the account fields, and I try to go to rating and try to change that field, there's no place to change the field label. Wait a minute, why can't I change the label? Because this ain't where you do it. So you can, I don't know all this stuff. This is all part of that GDPR stuff. And determining how the data is sensitive, and the most important thing is add the help text, right? And so in the prospect rating field, you would add where's my help text? Maybe it's not in there. Fine. Oh, but I want to add a value to that field called not known, and that's, you can do that with just as simple as, you can add and remove pick list values on standard fields. And again, because it's a pick list value, as I add it, I decide which record types does that pick list I just added go to, all the record types, or just none of the record types that I've got, or something else, right? Just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So in this one, that's fine. Or technically, I shouldn't have done it, but now if I want to get rid of it, I got to go somewhere else totally. I got to go back to my record types and say, oh, vendors don't need that heat. So I could go to my prospect rating. It's going to say rating because that's the real field name. And then I could take not known out, because I probably don't even need this at all. But if you want to. So there's different places you can do different things. You don't need to remember that for the test, but you need to know if you miss something during a wizard, you made it harder on yourself. Again, the checkbox fields, I'm not going to worry about right now. Any questions on that so far? Now the pick list fields that we had, and we'll do this on the, so again, it's showing you that there's two different places for things. So here, I think we did pick list value sets already. Yeah, I got my flavors. Did you do the flavors for the macaron? The macaron. So if I did my region, if I created a new pick list value set, and I call it region, and I just copied my values and hit save, I can't, it might look funny, but like I can't do anything else with that because that's just value sets, it's just pick list values. But if I go to the account and I want to create the field region, and that's a pick list field, then I can go do that. I create a pick list. You should be kind of familiar with this. And look, here's the thing I know, right? It's near impossible. Near impossible. Whoa. Stop it. Google autocomplete. And then I just use the pick list value set that's available to me. I got to copy that. Oh, that's nice of them to put the copied in there. So everybody can update that except the sales profile and the system administrator. So remember, we're talking about field level security, right? So a field is either visible or invisible. And if it's visible, it's either editable or read only. This is where you control that when you're creating it, or you could do it on the profile of the user's profile. It's controlled by profile. So again, zone might only be on the account object. So I'm going to do this one too, if you want to watch, because again, you can work through this together. or watch it. On zone, it's still a pick list value. And I'm going to call it zone. And I'm going to enter the values myself. See how this communicates. Oh, beautiful. And then on my description, I'll paste that in. On my help center, I'll paste that in. Let's see. So I'm going to make it read only. A sales user. And I'm just weird. Let's just see. I'll leave it that way. And then hit save, add it to all the page layouts. So now I can choose the field dependencies. And I think we've done this before with flavors, but I'll create a new field dependency, and this is where it counts. So in my controlling fields, notice it says standard and custom. So any of these fields are my available fields, and these fields happen to be checkboxes and pick list values. Standard or custom, doesn't matter, because they're controlling what I can select. So in this one, I'm going to put in region. And then my dependent field is only my custom pick list values. You see how it changes my list of choices? Piece of cake. I do zone, and then I go to my little tool that says, okay, these guys, and I just copied and paste them for Asia. Here's my Europe, and I could double click each one. My Latin America, I could hit include. My America, if I did too much, then I can choose the one that's wrong and exclude it. So all you're looking for are the previous choice, the controlling field, and then selecting which are the dependent fields. That is, what's going to be made available to the user when they choose the controlling field. So again, that's the same way it works on record types. And if you look at the vendor record type, and I look at my zones, maybe I don't deal with vendors, right? I don't deal with vendors in anything but the US. So I could literally just eliminate all of this except for the US. Let me just do this and take out. If I only use vendors, then for vendors, there I'm good. Like I got no problem with everybody else, but I'm just, that's making a bigger choice based on the record type for each of those. Does that make sense? So if I open up a vendor account, hopefully this works. If I open up a vendor account and I look at my region, again, I haven't touched that one yet. There's my zones automatically, but actually, let me go back to my record type because I picked the wrong one. My vendor. If I go to my region, I just eliminate all the other choices. Choose my default, US. So now when I create an account of a vendor, and I look at my region, oh wait, did I not? Let me refresh, hold on. Pages don't know what's there until you refresh them. They don't reflect the changes automatically. You got to refresh the page. There it is. There's my default. I got US and I just picked the zone. Easy peasy. Because the record type chose that for me. It limited my choices on region, and I could set the default And then there you go. That's a policy. You can enforce the policy. Didn't even take that much to do it. Question, comments, concerns, same thing works with close reason. And even though the reasons are multi-select, it still limits my choices because it's a pick list value. Any kind of pick list, multi-select or regular. Questions, comments? All right. Now again, you don't try to watch me and do it at the same time. That's impossible. Even if you have two monitors, it's still difficult, right? So I'm trying to get through a lot of content just to make sure you're squared away on it. I'm trying to get through fast so you can go back and review it later. So again, the backup agent in this one, if we create this new field on a case, so we're on a case object, because that's where these things are located. And I just want to show you a couple of things about that field. First of all, it's a lookup field. So this isn't a required, this isn't required. And I can't even create a master detail lookup on it because this is a child of a master already. This is related to my users because only users can be a backup agent because they're the ones who work for us, have a login with Salesforce, right? So this is, we're going to call this backup agent. It's going to create the name. I'm going to put in the description because I've got it right here. And then the child relationship name is the cases. So when I'm looking at a backup agent and he can see all the cases he's assigned to, that's going to be the name. Now, if I show the lookup filter, here's what I want to show you about this field. The goal, and as I look at it here, is that the user profile name equals support user. So there's a couple ways to go about doing it. There isn't any, let's see, contact, matches, contact, the user, no, none of that's relevant for the user. So those suggestions don't matter. So there's a couple ways to do it. You can click and just start typing, say, I want to see the name. What name? Anything with a name will show up. So the user, the current user, well, no, user has a profile and that profile has a name. So that's one way to find the field. There's another way. I could say user, then related to that is profile. And then if I select profile, then I got all of the profile fields that I want. And that's what I'm looking for, the name. There's another way to do it. If you click the lookup field, here's a different visual display. So where's the field that I want to compare it to that contains support user? So I want to look to the user, and on that user record, they're going to have a profile. Now, if you know the profile ID from the profile table, good for you. That is awesome. I'm going to go dig on the profile. And the profile is, these are the data that's available to you on the profile field. Profile's got a name. I'm going to click that in there. Then I've got an operator. It says I want it to equal, and I can choose either equal another field, or like it can only, a backup agent can only be somebody that reports to this person and blah, blah, blah. You could do that. You could dig the fields again too. But in this case, I'm not even going to use backup. I'm not even going to use equals because, you know, I'm just going to use the word support. Why is that? Well, because I think it's, what if you create another profile that could be a backup agent called backup support, right? And then that changed the name from support user, because when you look at your profiles, it's going to be, computers are dumb. They only do exactly what you tell them. And then if there is any, if there's a fail, you want to send an, a fail message that's in English to say the backup agent must be a support or must have a support select. Like, I don't have a problem making the sentence make sense. Do you? So I wouldn't, like I said, I would go there, I would do that, and then enable that filter. That's one way to make sure it works. So I'm going to hit read only, so nobody can change it except another support user. There's support profile. See, if I'd have said equals support user, it wouldn't have failed because I just have support profile. That's what I named it. I didn't call it support user. So that's not equals. I know it's close, but it's not equals. Equals is equals. Now, you assign it to page layouts. So let me ask you a question. Of all these page layouts, which one do I not? Oh, they don't have it. Darn. Okay. Because oh no, I do. So the closed case page layout, they're saying, look, I only need a backup agent on a case while that case is open, right? So I don't need I don't need this field on those other pages. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, if you do need it for history, like who was the backup agent, then of course put it on there. But ultimately, the backup agent's only for somebody who's working the case and you're not available. Your backup agent can do it. That's a lookup filter. Does that all make sense? Now you could do this other one where the contact ID. So when I go to contact, if I edit this field, here's what's cool about some of these filters is that some of them are so common that they say, look, the contact name's account ID should match the case's account ID. I just insert that and it inserts the formula for me. Even though you typically don't create a case and then add the contact. Typically you find the contact to make sure they, right, confirm the person you're talking to, and then from their record create the case, which automatically relates it to them. So don't get confused by the example because this is trying to learn you something different. Okay, a couple more minutes. We did formula fields a lot, right? We did formula fields. So I'm not going to go too deep into formula fields because we did that last time. Record types, we did that a little bit, but remember on the record type, one of the things, here's what you can see. If you have no record types, right, then this is where the rule applies. One page layout per profile, right? Y'all see that on my screen? So I'm going to go to the account where I got multiple record types. And just start looking at my page layout assignments. And here's where you can see multiple record types, right? And I could change them up any way I want. So that profile can see all existing records, new records that are accounts this way, and the whole 9 yards. Now, it doesn't tell me which profiles have that record type assigned. That's going to be in profiles. Any questions about record types? Remember, record types control the page layouts and the pick list values. There's my pick list. I can change that. And in my record types, I can go back. It's another way to see the page layouts for all the profiles. Account page layouts or any page layouts. There's 2 page layouts. Remember, these are all the page layouts we created. What we haven't looked at yet is lightning record pages. So I'm going to bust open one of these. So let's go, I'll do this slower so you can do it with me because I really want to get your fingers on it so you get a sense of it. It's not covered. I don't think there's much of this on the test, but we'll figure that out when we start practicing on the test. So by default, there's a standard Lightning record page already assigned, and it doesn't even show up. But if you want to create a new Lightning record page, or on any record, you have to go into the Lightning Builder. So when I'm creating a Lightning page, I have a couple of choices. So you know the Home tab on your applications? That's what the Home page is for. An app page, I never even created an app page. That's for the mobile app and somewhere else in the Lightning experience. And then we're going to go record page. So we're creating that custom, the way you like that look and feel of the way the record done. So I'm just going to do customer page layout. I choose the object. So that's one of the things here is that it doesn't even know I want the account object. This is like a generic starter place until you assign it to wherever you assign it. So here I designed the template. I got a bunch of standard templates. How do I want it to look on both Lightning and mobile? Header in 3 regions, header in 2 equal regions. So you gotta, don't want 2 subheader. Like these are all the templates you got, right? 1 region, pinned header. I like, man, I'm always amazed at what's new, right? I'm always like, wow, that's new. Because if you don't touch something every day in Salesforce, you may be surprised at what's new. So I'm going to do the header in the left sidebar. I'm going to do header in right sidebar. Sorry, I like header in right sidebar for account pages. Let me see. So anyway, I'm talking about the stuff so you get a chance to look at my screen and then try it and then dig around for yourself. I'm just clicking around on the different layouts. I'll go that way. Okay. This one's pretty standard. All right, so this is what this says. By the way, there's 35 standard components. I remember when there were 16. Mud, dust, and yeah. All right, and again, this is in-app guidance. It's one of the things you can customize in advanced admin, where you can pop up help anywhere you go. So these are all the different components. Accordion, action plans for finding actions and recommendations, activities. You can read all these yourself. The highlights panel is the one that I typically throw at the top of a page. The highlights panel gives you quick access to very good information. There's how many buttons do you have at the top? Depends on how many action buttons you have created. I don't care what you do. And then you assign the layouts if you want, and you can assign which page layouts get this. So, but right now, let's just build the page, right? This is sort of like a Wix. So I like to save as I go. And then I don't like it to show that to me, so I'll click not yet. So a couple things, right? So let's look at, as this one got me the other day. So let's see if this is the one, because this is record detail. So typically record detail goes right in here. And then that's the details tab. Oh, that's not the one I want. Let's see. Tabs. I'm gonna throw tabs on the right. And I'm gonna throw, I haven't done this in a couple weeks. Where is my related list view? I think this is it. I'm going to throw that one under there. My list view, is that right? List views? Nope. Is this an enhanced? It's different. Again, I'm just looking to see now. List view, I could throw my path up there. Oh, if I got a potential if I want to warn about potential duplicates, I like to put that one right there. Record. Oh, my related list quick links is what I want up here up top. To kind of mimic classic, I tend to put my related list quick links at the top of the page. All right, I'll throw my tabs in the middle. See if that one works. Okay. All right, so here we go. So I've got my related tab, which will have all my related list. And here it's got the same thing. So here you can change your tabs. So I'm going to choose, here's where I typically put my activity. I'll put my chatter on the right. And then let's see what else I can do. Let me put news. So I can control what's on that side panel, right? Activity, chatter, news. Let me see if there's anything else I think is cool. No, I'm good with that. I'll take that one out. All right. Now here, I might decide, oh, I got my related list and I got my details, and I'm going to set my details. Who wants to look at the related list? I don't want to look at the related list. I want to look at the details first. I got my related list quick links up at the top. I'm going to go right to a record. I want to see that, right? Now you can do a couple of other things. You can actually add a component. So let's say you want to add a component, I don't know, let's say like a report chart. Put that there. And that report, no shared reports. Okay, so I can't do that one right now. But you could set that component's visibility, say only if, you know, the user, their profile, name, right? That's the end field. And then you can add the filter. Oh, whoops. Did that by accident. Okay. Where's my component visibility? Added my filter. So whatever. So I'm going to take that away. You can add a filter for those things. It's pretty cool. I'm going to trash that. Let's see if there's anything else. Trending topics, theory, video force. Related list, record details, Quip, items, Quip document. Quip is Salesforce's version of Google Docs. It's linked to records. It does a bunch of cool stuff. I don't really know a lot. I've used it a little bit, not a lot. Maybe you got an Einstein next best action you want to put there. I don't know if that's, you got to have action strategies. A couple of things. So yeah, there's a lot of new ones in here. I'm just poking around. Sorry about that. So once I save it, then I can activate this page layout. And you can so you could set this as the org default, or you could just assign it to a specific app. Maybe this is just for sales, the sales app. And I could do it for desktop and phone. And then I could save that and then assign it to different profiles. So I can assign it to a sales app. And I can assign it to the phone and desktop. And I can assign it to just customer records or all existing records, or event. I could select who gets this. We're going to do all of them because I only got one. And then I could choose the users by profile that get this, right? So a marketing user, custom sales, so you're assigning which people, which places, and which things get this. So then when I hit save and go back, now watch what happens to my page. I hope, I'm crossing fingers, hoping to die. Hoping it works. Oh, look, it worked. I got my related list, quick links. Oh, what's wrong with my tabs? I know I did something on my tabs. Hang on, I gotta do something with that. I struggled with this last month with a customer who was a pain in January, actually. I didn't actually add my components here. So what do I have to add? I have to add my record detail. For some reason, I don't know why it doesn't do that automatically. My related list. Nope. No. Is that right? No, come on. What did I do wrong? Oh, I did something wrong. Oh, figure. What did I put in there? Put tabs. Oh, there's something I'm doing. I can't remember. Damn it. Sorry, this makes me look bad, doesn't it? Oh, well, that's what happens. I want to see. Oh, there it is. I got to add, under the tab, I've got to add, aha. That's what I got to do. See? I have my related lists under the tab. I add my record detail under the, I remember now. So I add the tabs function. Then I add what are the related tabs that I want to add. So related list, number 1. Nope, I don't want that one. I got to add the components here. So what do I want? I want my I don't want that one. I want activity history. And then I'm going to add another related list there. I'm going to call this related. What am I going to call this? I'm going to call this. Whoops, I'm going to add a tab. I'm going to call that tab the activity tab. Yeah, that's right. They made it so that you got activity. And then I got my chatter. And then under activity, I can add the single related list. Of the component I want to put there. And have that one be my activity history. I could choose whether it's a basic or enhanced related list, which means I have more ability to mess with it. Chatter, I need to add my chatter feed. I'm going to add the publisher and feed. Post, poll, yeah, there we go, sweet. Now my activity, hold on, I got something going on with activity. Let's see. Oh, here's my activities that I want. I want my activities here. And I'm going to take out that activity history. Nope, I'm going to leave that activity history. And I'm going to put one more related list. And for that one, I'm going to grab open activities. So for those people who liked and that, all right, so here we go. On my tabs now, I'm going to add my news tab up here. And now for my news tab, I'm going to add the components I want, which is my tweeter. And I think the account team, I'm going to see if I got news. Nope. I don't want that. It's going to put Twitter. Let's see what else is there. Trending topics, Twitter. All right, that's close enough. I got related details. So what's my default? Details. I got related details and news. I could say something else. I just don't really know all these that I don't think I don't have that set up. Flows are things that you could add. I don't think I have any flows. Let me just look and see. I have no flows available, so there's no point in that. Flows are things like update. Think of it like a macro or at least a guided process that you walk through that makes it happen. Let's see, rich text. Did I create a rich text? No, not yet. Let's see, trending topics. Nope. Here's some couple of other customs from a managed package. I don't know what they are. I'm done. Now I'll go back. And now when I click and refresh the page, look at me. I love it like this. So I'm looking at the highlights panel. By the way, the compact layout will change the highlights panel. The global actions button will let me change and move these action buttons around. My related list quick links here at the top, and I can hover to discover, or I can click my related tab and go to all the same things, right? For the most part, I got, partners and enjoyed. So I like this page layout is kind of like my standard page layout. And I like the highlights panel, which collapses but leaves my actions at the top of the header. I've got my related list quick link, so it mimics classic so that I can just hover to discover and as many related links that I put on the page layout. And then this is my lightning page builder. And if I have the rules activated, it'll search for duplicates. So I'm going to take that out. Hit save. Oh, trailhead. Oh, look at that. All right, we'll do that later. Okay. That's building a page at the page lightning. That's a lightning page builder. Pretty cool? Pretty cool. Dig it or not? Let me know. Okay, so that's beyond regular page layouts. We did that already. Enable field history tracking. And since we did validation rules, we'll kind of move past that now. So the field history tracking, again, lives at the object level. Go to fields and relationships at the object in the setup menu. And then set history tracking. So it only starts recording as soon as you enable it. And then depending on the kind of data you want to manage, you only have 20 fields to choose from. So pick the 20 that matter if they're changed, not created, not static, like they stay there forever, but they change. So let's say the account owner is a good one. Who changed the account owner? Did anybody change the record type? Maybe the number of locations. Maybe something that should never change you want to watch. Zone. region, phone, ownership. You got 20. Maybe somebody updates some of the basic account information. There you go. So every object you can pick which fields you want to do. Now this is distinctly different. So I want you to type in here history. Nope. Dominic, gotta spell it right. Nope, let's see. Where is the chatter feed? There we go. So feed tracking lives where? It lives in the chatter section of the setup menu. So if you go to feed tracking, so let's just say that you put on history tracking, right? Field history, and that creates a reportable record of changes. If you just want to create a notify, like a part of the feed, like for the account record, if something changes and anybody following this record, you could choose the fields that get posted. It could be the same or different. So if you want to kind of get notice of less important but still worthy of notice changes, all the critical fields, again, you got 20 you could choose. So, and depending on each object, whether you can enable field tracking for that. And then you just choose it. Right, these will post in chatter. So the people that follow different records for different reasons, anytime something happens on that record, you're going to get. So again, you could track it up to 20 fields, but all it does is post to chatter and you cannot report on it. Questions, comments about field history tracking versus feed tracking. The history says it's on the object and it's recordable and reportable. So not only does it show up on the record in the related list, it'll also show up in reports that you create for it. And then the last two create validation rules we already did. So that was the project, customize a Salesforce object. I still request you figure out when you're going to complete it. But does that give you a good idea how you can make Salesforce your own for yourself or your company? Or, that you can see things that people have done as you look at different Salesforce orgs in different ways. So again, I'm going to go back to the Zoom chat. And we are in phase 4 of the admin training. Oh, why are you doing that? Good for you, Zoom. All right. So here's another little project. Phase 4 is about the project. Let's see something here. There's 3 more projects. I don't know if this is the right order. So let me see if I created this one correctly. Let me look at Lightning Flow first. So hang on a second. I want to do Lightning Flow before we do the projects because I'm going to assign the projects to you as additional homework. So Lightning, how things flow in Lightning. Now, this is where we get into automation. So automation is not automatic, but let's talk about the different ways you can do things automatically in Salesforce, right? So let's go to, by the way, I'm in this trail. All right, and then we're gonna start with choosing the right automation tool. So there's a lot of things that are can be automated in Salesforce, right? So you should know the different tools that you can use, what people expect from automation, lightning flow and process builder and workflow and what else? Flows. I guess this is what it's talking about. Okay, so let's just talk about this because this might jump right into it. So automation used to be really hard. Now it's really easy, right? So this is where you can integrate with different systems or trigger reminders or just whatever you do. Now, when I recommend automation, it's after we built it on paper. So we build it on paper first, like we do it in the real world, and it's the process that makes sense. And then we see if we can map that to data, right? So, it's just a series of if this then that's equations. So you got to learn to map it out. But we can integrate with various systems in Salesforce and outside of Salesforce. You may have to configure the process logic, define and build for the end user experience, and make it available. So lightning flow is a declarative process automation tool or set of tools. So there's also code that can be written. So what I'm teaching you guys is declarative programming. That is point and click programming, not code programming. The difference between the two fundamentally is knowledge, for one, but more than just the knowledge is the the point and click tools you don't have to maintain. When Salesforce goes through its every 4 months, Salesforce does a release updates. It's constantly doing a new version every 4 months. It used to be every 3, now it's every 4. I hope they go to every 6. Slow down a little bit, Salesforce. And if you write code, you have to check your code every release to make sure they didn't break something. So there's a process builder and a flow builder. Now, process builder you use to make you make processes. Flow builder makes flows. Flows are like a guided script where you enter one set of data, and depending on what you pick, it then moves to either choice A or choice B, depending on how you navigate. So it's navigating people through data entry. Process builder looks at the data that's been entered and then takes the appropriate actions. Okay? But that's just a sneak peek about what they are. So process builder is like the original workflow, except it's more robust and it's a lot easier to manage and manipulate, and it's built on the Lightning platform instead of Classic. So it starts with a record being either created or updated for an object. That's how it starts. Another process could kick it off, but usually how it starts is upon save, which one do you do? What do I need to do now? And this is called an order of execution, which we'll talk about as we move down a little bit down the line. So nothing happens until the record is saved, is what you want to know. Nothing happens until the record is saved. And then depending on the criteria of that record once saved is whether you go through the triggers of the actions. Remember I said true triggers action, like in a validation rule. If something is true, then it'll trigger the action of the validation rule, stopping the save and correcting the data. So anything that falls outside the bounds of acceptable would trigger true. Well, in Process Builder, it's kind of the same. That's where I got my true triggers action from. Because when it saves that opportunity record, it's going to look for, is this closed won? Yes, then do these actions, and then evaluate the next criteria. If it wasn't one, then just say, was it closed won and high value? And the answer is yes, do these actions and wait a couple of days and do these actions and then stop. Now, Flow Builder is a little different. Flow is like a process chart. It starts with a record being opened or a flow kicking off. And then, and it goes through all of these different elements. Like, so this is a flow chart of work and a bunch of if-then statements. And I'm not that great with flow, to be honest with you. We don't teach it in the standard admin class. It's advanced admin, but Lightning Flow is brand new, and I've done a little bit of it. But basically, this is where you look up records. Like, let's say creating leads. If you find that you're getting a lot of duplicates, then you could, or that if the assignment's going wrong, or some of the data could just be updated along the way, or something like that, right? So, for example, in a sales operations, if you have an existing account, let's say Home Depot, and you've got an account manager and a sales support reps working with Home Depot because it's such a big account, a lot of stuff going on. Well, if a lead comes in from Home Depot, you don't just want the sales development rep talking to that lead, because you've got, active business with that account. So maybe what you do is when the lead comes in, you pull out the variable of their email address, and if it matches the URL of the email, the URL of the name of the email addresses of existing contacts in an account, you would then assign that lead, instead of for whoever gets that lead regionally from Atlanta, then it goes to those people specifically that are supporting that account, picks one of those people or creates a queue for their stuff. Does that make sense? So it's a little more robust, and some of it happens automatically. Some of it's kicked off manually. So that's what Flow Builder does. And it takes you through a series of if-thens, and it'll create loops. A customer could call 3 times a day before you just send them straight to voicemail, something like that. So this is kind of the way like IVR systems work. So I know I'm pretty close to do it. Anyway, so, and also flows can kick off processes. So, and the actions taken, we're going to get deeper into these things about what actions can you take with each process. But just know that we're going to come up on that. And so here's a couple of use cases, right? You create a wizard in order to create to create a record. So we have one, let's say you want to create, you want to upload a file. So in order to upload the file, you got to click this, 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 and this. So it takes you through each step. You want to set up some automated tasks and processes. So it could declaratively configure the logic and actions for your business process with either Process Builder or Flow. Again, if there's any gaps, you would write code. You want to connect to an external system, like you want to send a message to the Brownie Fulfillment Center. Let's say you send a box of brownies after every speaking engagement. I know that y'all do something like that, right? Well, you want to send an email to those guys, or do you want to just enter it directly into their order processing system? What you're trying to accomplish depends, is guided and direct. The tool you use controls that. So let's say, you want to, like Brian, I know for you, like for a speaking engagement, or even Julia with a new You interview somebody, the client interviews the resource, they say yes, they click a button. Now you got to kick off the onboarding process, and emails have to go certain ways, places. And, you know, you could dump all the emails on the onboarded person at once and hope they don't get overwhelmed. Or you could wait, like if this, then do that, then that, and say, okay, click here for the next thing. And then you could guide them through while they're at it. Those kind of things, right? You can add automation to your pages and your apps. So behind the scenes, when the right action starts, you can make the right changes, or when users click a particular button, like, for example, it's like a macro, close this opportunity 1. If there's a series of records that need to be updated and created and sent somewhere, you could build a flow to make all that happen. And in Flow Builder, any flow could be a process that's a subflow. So in Process Builder, a process could reuse another process and just invoke another process. So the 3 ways to start, multiple ways to start a process builder: when a record changes, when some type of platform event happens, and I'm not really sure what all those are, or some other process says, okay, onboard this rep, and you have a whole process to onboard a new person. Or, you know, confirm the order and send the, you know, of the coins and have them go X place, but you got to order them first, but notify the person that they've been ordered. And then when you get your, like, all this cool stuff that can happen. But let me tell you something. Don't go crazy with automation, because if you do, you'll just screw things up faster and automatically. So just be careful with that. So which one do you use, right? So typically, if you have a step like you want to fill out a set of forms, and you could, depending on one choice, like a survey, right? Do you smoke? Yes or no? Well, yes takes you to another set of questions. No takes you to a different set of questions. That's flow. So Flow Builder works. If you want automation under the hood and connect it to another system, you can use Process Builder, Flow, or Apex. And now approvals is an automation that is internal only, and there's a whole internal process to submit a record for approval. You decide what happens upon submission, what happens upon rejection, what happens upon final approval, what happens upon final rejection, how many steps in the approval process. Does it have to be unanimous so that the first rejection goes back to the last approver or the last person who submitted? Lots of different options, right? So really, it's when do you use the tool, right? What's the appropriate tool? Not every saw is created equal, right? If you do construction, there's lots of different kinds of saw. They're not all the same. You got table saws, you got jig saws, you got circular saws, you got saws that'll saws all, and you got, you know, saws that are like this, I forget what they call a little tool, but it just does, like, it's a little, just a vibrating little blade to let you, like, cut things in a straight line. So with Process Builder, it's so when a record is, that's what it is, record's either created or updated, or if it's invoked by another process or some process, a platform event occurs, like another process says invoke that process, right? You got 3 processes, and the main process, option A, invoke process A, option B, invoke process B. Now Flow Builder automates a guided visual experience. That means for the user, it walks them through based on their choices. And you can add more functionality behind the scenes with Flow than it's available in Process Builder, but it's because it's sort of interactive at the time. So as a user does this, then you can automate some things behind it to get things done, even Process Builder. Then call the resulting flow. Oh, from the okay, yeah. So you could also start it with by clicking a button, like confirm, like, you know, maybe at the end of a speak, like when you close an opportunity, you could click a button that says generate contract, pull from the data and then have a bunch of other stuff happen at once. Now, Apex is when you need more functionality than both of those can provide. And that's really more Java and outside the bounds of this particular class. But here's some scenarios. You want to guide a community member through requesting a new credit card with a step-by-step wizard. Flow, you build a flow builder. The sales rep clicks a button on an opportunity which launches a discount calculator. Flow, do they have this? Do they have that? Let me look at somebody put a chat in there. Who put the chat? Thank you, Julie. Yeah. When account is updated, so if you change the address of an account, automatically put those changes down to the contacts of that account. So when an opportunity stage is updated, you can update a custom check field box, like this part is done. That does because of what Process Builder does. It's about 7 or 8 different actions that Process Builder can take. We create a task when a certain thing is done. So maybe, I know you've got Brian working with Waldo, you've got a series of tasks that get kicked off at certain stages of the speaking engagement, right? From the moment they say, we'd like to talk to you about it, to the moment they say, we'd like to use you, to the moment that the first check gets there, to the moment, like all those things kick off different tasks, and you could have the records automatically update to do all that. Maybe it's been 30 days since you've had an activity on a lead. So you want to update the last contact flag from green to yellow, and then at 60 days it's red, or any other timing. Or you want to create an automatic renewal opportunity that's due, maybe they have to renew every month. It's a trial. They said yes to the trial, and then you want to set up something for the month. Or you want to route a time off request for a manager for approval so you could kick through a process. So we'll talk more about approval process and workflow rules. This is the old tool, so they're not highlighting it, but I'm happy to show you both. So let's just take the quiz. And I think you can I retake the challenge? Oh, I have to log out to take the challenge. Let's take the quizzy. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna open an incognito. We'll see what the quiz is. So there's the challenge. Which tools are included with the Lightning Flow product? I can't take it, but is it A? Put it in chat, by the way, whichever one you think it is. A, B, C, or D? Oh, that's a good one. A, B. Oh, Brian left too? Oh, no. Okay. What do you say, Gil or Amy? Did you try? I think it's D, but I'm not sure. Well, actually, I know it's either C or D is what they're calling it. So because they set it up here in the very top, that what's included is included in Lightning Flow, a 2 point-and-click automation, Process Builder, and Flow. So I think that's probably right.
Mm-hmm.
What would you use for the following use case? Guide customers through the process of troubleshooting issues with your product. Answer there is guide is the kicker, so Flow Builder, right? You want to guide them through a process. It's interactive, right? So it's not AI, but it's interactive. What declarative tool would you use for the following use case? When an opportunity discount is higher than 40%, notify the CEO via email and request sign-off. Provide a way for the CEO to leave comments. Well, that one's tough. I would say approvals. You can check my work. Put the question number on there too, Gil. Is that, yeah, that's number 1, I think you got. So number 2 is definitely Flow Builder. Number 3, I'm going to say that I've done it in all of, I've done it in Process Builder. I've done it in Workflow. And you could do it with approvals. So I guess it would be either Process Builder or approvals, because it does all those things. Let's see if there's, let's see. Notify the CEO via email. That would be Process Builder, because the requirement to notify them via email, I don't know. And let's see, and leave comments would definitely be approvals, because approvals has comments, the other ones don't. So it's C, approval. Number 3 is C. What would you use in number 4? When the annual revenue field exceeds 500,000 on account, automatically update the customer priority field to high. Okay, I wouldn't. I'd do it when they're, if annual revenue means how much money they're spending with me, yes. Annual means how much money they're bringing in as a company. I don't give a shit about that. I give a shit how much money I'm getting. But that would be Process Builder. So take the quiz, the answers, and tell me if the answers are right with C, B, C, A. Is that right, Gil? There you go. That's what I thought. Look at that. I'm smart. Okay. Now, let's just take a look at these real quick, and then we'll come back next week and talk about them, right? So let's just go to the Setup tab. And let's look at Process Builder. So when you type in process, there's a couple of features that are not relevant: lead processes, sales processes, support processes. Those have to do with the pick list values of those 3 objects. We're going to come back to that later. So there's approval processes. This is brand new. There's flows, there's Process Builder, and then there's workflow rules. So we're going to click on Process Builder. I need to close my chat. I'm going to create a new process. I give it a name, update. So it's got to have an API name. This is a pretty descriptive. Whoops. And you decide, when does this happen? When the record changes, either it's saved or updated, a platform event message is received, or it's invoked by another message. A platform event is some API call from somewhere else. We're going to do when a record changes, and click save. So just watch or just do it yourself. So it's really simple. I add the object. So in this case, I want the account object. When a record changes on the account object, and it would be when the record is created or edited. Now under advanced, and never click recursion here, because this means that it's going to update the record throughout the process. I don't want that. What I want on this one is, I just want when the record is created or edited. And in this case, it's only when it's going to be edited. I'll show you where to pick that. And then I want to add the criteria. So the criteria might say address. I'm going to say actually shipping. So what are my conditions? So then this is a filter, right? So the conditions are either the field and the filters, a formula, or no criteria, just execute. So it used to be you had to do a formula, and then the formula equals 1, and then that would do it. Well, I'm going to do conditions are met, right? So the field I'm looking for is shipping street. Is changed. And that is true. If the shipping street is changed, then that's all I need, right? It's all I need. If the address changes in one of the address fields, that's good enough for me. And here's where advanced is. So the real question is, with something like this, do you want it to execute the first time this changes or every time it changes? And in this one, I want it every time it changes. So every time that field, that shipping field changes, I want to take the action of updating all the contacts, right? So that's really easy. If I have multiple conditions, I could have that, or I could customize the logic that's just filter logic. Now think about another one where the VP of sales wants to be notified every time a piece of business is closed won. Well, with that one, I only want to evaluate that the first time that record is changed. Because the first time it changes from not close one, close one, I want to notify the VP of sales. But every time I edit that record after it's closed one, I don't want to keep notifying that I want it. It's weird. Okay, so now I go to my actions. What action do I want? I'm not creating a record. I'm updating a record. But these are all the actions you can take. You could select an Apex code, which is new. Oh, no, that's not new. That's true. Create a record like a task, send an email alert, invoke a flow, post a chatter, invoke another process, do a quick action. That's something else. Do something with Quip, send a custom notification, submit for approval, or update records. I'm going to update a record. And this I'm going to call update contact address. And then the record I'm updating has to be, so I want to select not on the account record, but rather one of its related records. So I want contact. So my contact record. Now it's going to say, well, what you want to update? So I want to update the field of street, the mailing street, should equal the value of the account shipping street. Then I could add all the other address fields. So I want if whatever the mailing, so if one is changed, mailing city, whoops. No, I'm sorry, mailing city, mailing state, mailing zip. Again, it's going to be the same thing. Now, if I know my field names, so I'm going to do a field reference on each one. And then I'm just going to go city, state, whoops. So I'm looking for physical addresses, right? And then I got zip. So I'm updating even, so if the shipping street changes, I'm updating all the 4 fields. So only one field has to change for me to update it, even if it overwrites it the same. Even if they just move to the building next door, it doesn't hurt to overwrite the whole address just to be clear. Does that make sense? I don't need a criteria. I just need it to happen, right? Because I said earlier, I might have a criteria that says, oh, you know, something else. Like if the contact is if the state equals blah, 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 then update those things. I'm just going to update it because all the contacts work at that physical site. Now you could also add lots of other actions. You could add a chatter post and say, update, let me notify, I don't know, somebody, notify X of address change. So the post I could do could be to a user, to a group, or on this record. Now what I like about on this record is that whoever you mention in the record, it'll be part of that, whatever, right? So I could even add a field. So I could say on the account, last modified by, and I could have their name. Oops. So so-and-so space, and then I could copy that if I wanted to. Whoops. And then did last name, because I know that's the way it looks. Again, whatever makes sense for your business. But it could do a post to that record. And then it's just a post. This lives there. You could even mention the person if you wanted to. And it could stop. Or if you had another node to say, well, the shipping address didn't change. What did, blah, 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 blah. And just go down all the records. So when that record is changed, what do you care about? Well, the first thing is, did the shipping address change? Great. Now, if you have any, depending on what the criteria is, whether you can schedule actions in the future or not, we'll go back to that. And then, of course, you just activate the process. And one process can be active at a time. And if you go look at those processes, if you want to, there's my process. So if I want to update this process, then I have to clone it. And usually I just do a version of this process. And then because you can't edit it once it's done. And then if I activate the process, say I add another action, or I want to take away that notification, like, that didn't work, so I want to take that away, then I can activate that process. It automatically shows the versioning, and I got version 1 and version 2, inactive, and then 2. And you can constantly do that. If you want to build it out, you can clone it and keep versions and see what works and go back to 1, whole 9 yards. If people like version 1, you can go back to it, and you can reactivate that one. And so you go back and forth, and it just creates another, it swaps the processes if you don't make any changes. Anyway, hey, look, that's some of what we got going on with customization. So Lightning Flow, we're going to continue with this, and we're going to do process builder processes. We'll do some flow. We're going to combine them, and then we're going to do records. So this is going to take the next couple of classes, but this is where automation gets sexy. So work with each other. You each got different partners. Work with each other to kind of go through the last project to make sure that's complete, and then work through this so that we can talk about it when we get going the next time. Any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, confusion, anything like that going on? All right, guys, I'll see you Thursday. Wait, today. I'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Catch up on your homework.